This is Suna Senman sharing you some wisdom from experience. And pay attention to your own experience. Your experience really teaches you things. You may also read what experts have to say to get a little bit more grasp of what goes on in your experience. And this video is about dangerous foods. So if you experience any kind of headaches, irritable bowel syndrome, insomnia, muscle aches, especially tension in your neck and shoulders, if you have even emotional irritability, I'm even going to go as far to say that if you ever made yourself throw up food, you may be experiencing some dangerous foods. And that doesn't mean that all foods are bad, but there are problems with especially processed foods. So now I'm just going to speak out of my experience, but please use your experience to educate you, to guide you into more harmonious flow and joyful, fully alive living. So I have been aware for a while that dairy and gluten, wheat products in particular, don't work well for me. In fact, I can tell you that when I was experiencing fatigue, I went to the doctor and did some blood tests. She had said that I was very allergic to dairy. So then for the next, for a next longer period of time than 3 weeks, but 3 weeks I saw some really big results, was I looked at every ingredients on packages and anything that had any dairy product, wheat, casein, whey, anything like that, I would avoid completely. So I gave my body a break, a release from having to process the foods that were working against me, that were causing me the fatigue and such. And within 3 weeks, I lost the 10 pounds that I could not lose for 10 years. So another issue with foods that are, I've just used the term dangerous, but that do not really work for you, is weight gain and swelling, especially swelling in the abdomen. There's a mental health diagnosis called pica, which is given to people who eat unusual things, like eat dirt, they have a craving for dirt, or, I think this is kind of more a social norm type of thing. If you had a craving for donuts, for example, they would not call it pica, but in my experience, I would, because these are this kind of processed sugar, processed wheats, grains, especially wheats, are really not what our body is made to fuel itself with. It's kind of like, pouring orange juice into your gas tank, thinking that, it's a liquid, it's got energy to burn, Why wouldn't your engine run on orange juice? It's because it's not designed that way. And that's why if you look at the milk that we get from cows, it comes from the mother cow for the baby calf to use for that system. And that system has 7 stomachs. And that system digests by regurgitating up and digesting several times. So if you think about it, if you drink milk or use dairy products, you are putting into your system what was designed for a system that has at least 7 times more digestive power than yours. And just like if you're putting orange juice into your gas tank, you're going to notice that that vehicle doesn't perform as it should. And there's frustration involved with that. And just a kind of disassociation from how things work or what is going to flow properly. So my experience now is that I have understood to avoid dairy and gluten or wheat, and have done so for quite a while, and have been in fairly good health, sleep really well, don't have headaches, sinus problems such as that. Yet there's a traditional food that we eat here in Sweden, which is kind of a sweet roll that is stuffed with almond paste, which is a lot of sugar, and whipped cream. And so I thought I would participate in this tradition, this kind of joyful thing that goes back to the Catholic Church. It's a Fat Tuesday type of food to eat. And the result is I have wanted to throw up. I have had really bad irritable bowel syndrome. I have headaches. I'm feeling my sinuses flare up. My neck and shoulders are painful and tight. And I'm not able to sleep. I have an insomnia. And because, in my case, this was an extremely clear experiment, no dairy and wheat or gluten versus 1 incidence of dairy and wheat and gluten, I know there's a strong correlation. So you can do your own personal experiments, as we tend to rely on scientific experiments that are done on hundreds of strangers. But when it relates to your body, you really need to know your body, because each one is a little different. So one thing you can do is you can keep a food journal where you write down what you've eaten and how you feel at the time and how you feel like 1 to 2 hours later. And you can do that over a week and then go back and see if there's any correlations. And you can even look up to 3 days afterwards, because some foods, such as meats, take 3 days to digest. So this is some wisdom from experience that I share with you, and may you have your own wisdom from your own experience, for the purpose of moving more and more often into the flow of harmony and joy. Enjoy today with blessings, blessings,